I pledge allegiance to
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all very much for being here this evening on our Monday, July 1st agenda. I believe the half year is already gone. So, we'll start off with the public hearing, introductory local law number 6, transfer architectural review board, ARB duties to the village board. Can I have a motion to open the public hearing?
Motion to open.
Second? Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Public hearing is now open. Basically, the intent, as we've discussed previously with this local law, is to amend Chapter 113, Architectural Review of the Village of Washingtonville Code to transfer the duties of the Architectural Review Board to the Village Board. And any questions?
Is that because sorry, Nancy Donaldson for Emerson Drive. Is that because we don't have enough volunteers?
No.
Okay.
There were some issues with trying to get meetings in place, and right now it's just for signage. And because it's just for signage, that's not anything that our board can't handle. And the other piece, the bigger piece, is that very shortly we are going to organize a historical review board, historical architectural review board, potentially expanding it somewhat out of the village, maybe into the town of Blooming Grove, so we can get some really solid members with some architectural type background to sit on that board. Because once the moratorium's lifted, we will have a declared historical
Zone. Yeah.
So we want to keep the integrity, there'll be there's codes referring to not just the signage, but facades, what type of materials can be used. So it gets a little bit more complicated.
So, like, the village is gonna be,
There will be a declared historical district. So like downtown, we have designated areas and or homes that will be part of a historical district, so that they have to maintain they have to maintain the integrity of the structure.
is that like, what is it, Geneseo or someplace?
There's a lot, like Warwick has a historical district, Tuxedo Park has several different.
Monroe has it.
I think even the village of, a lot of the villages do, because they're villages.
Yeah, and that's the history. And most of it is in the village, which was the original communities. And can't say developments, but homes. And to date, our historic, Jeannie Vesuevo put together, has already done the inventory on the amount of homes that could be considered, historic in a sense. And so I was super surprised on the length and the details that she put forth. It was a lot of homes, and she did it basically street by street, working on North Street, Goshen Avenue, south, east, and west on Main Streets.
Lark and Phillip.
Lark, Phillip, yeah, it was quite a list. So it's really a nice start to, when we get to that point, that we'll have, have everything already identified, which is really great. So that's the direction we're leaning into.
Sounds great.
Cool.
Vinnie?
Vinnie Lang, Plymouth Rock. If I own a house within that historic district that you guys designate, is that going to restrict what that person can and cannot do to that property?
Well, there will be some guidelines there at some point. That's the whole purpose of trying to keep the integrity there. So rather than, somebody wanted to make a change to, let's say, the siding, take down what they have and put up hot pink vinyl siding, that probably won't be permissible. We've not come up with yet what we're, that's why so much goes into that.
Will we reach out to everybody within that historic district? I
Yeah.
hope to get their input, because
Absolutely, yeah.
maybe I wouldn't want to be in that.
Right, and Chris Kirk, there'll probably be public hearing for that?
Absolutely, it's gonna require change to the zoning code,
Right,
Right,
or the code, so there's gonna have to be a
Well,
public
code,
hearing, just
right.
like any other local law.
you know, and I hear what you're saying, but I wanna say too, that for the most part, people that are buying those types of homes really wanna maintain that integrity. You know, I know one, just when he bought it, he really, you know, his kids were living in it. And, the kids had moved out, they went down to Florida, and he's been living in the house. And to hear him talk about his house, it's like a kid in a candy store, that he just loves being in the house, he loves the porch, the integrity of everything. And, you know, for the most part, I hear what you're saying, but I think anybody who buys that has that, you know, piece within them that says, you know, I wanna maintain the look of this house, I wanna be able to make it better. And if it's helping by giving them some guiding information, you know, for roofs or siding or whatever they wanna do, it just, you know, it'll just make that building a little bit, you know, potentially more beautiful. And I think, again, it's not gonna be a big battle, these people really do kinda wanna keep it that way, so. We'll, but again, it's the beginning stages of this, and there's a lot of work to be done.
you know, we're working with our planner with that as well, you know, we're not
Yeah.
just like setting down these strict guidelines and rules, you know, just to do it, just to keep the integrity. There's some villages that don't allow vinyl replacement, anything, no vinyl siding, no vinyl windows. I don't know that we're gonna go that direction, but, you know, maybe you want at least the wood look if you're gonna use vinyl, we don't know yet. Architectural shingles for the roofing, you know, that type of thing. You have to figure it all out and what works.
Any other questions? Okay, if no further questions, can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion to close.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Any questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Right.
Motion passes 5-0. Thank you. Next would be public comments on agenda items. Anyone? Okay. I'll bring up one just in regards to, and Sean isn't here this evening. He had we went through a number of questions and things that he had at our last meeting. Excuse me. Shift this one. And the one had to do with the prevailing wages. So we were able to, the one example was a prevailing wage of about $85, and that changes depending on the, I'll call it sophistication or the element of that job. You know, a plumber versus a painter, those dollars go up in expenses. So we did take an employee of our village at a salary of $68,802, and with his benefits, with the hourly rate, his benefits, his hourly rate is $54.10. So in comparison to, say, $85, that's the delta and the difference that Sean was looking for to get an answer on, so.
Is that with the fringe benefits though? That's with health
Yes,
coverage
because
and
he's
everything?
only, those employees are only paying 15% of their health care. So that's the portion that he pays.
Or what do we pay?
The other
How much is that?
85%.
But how much is that?
Well, that wasn't the question, I could always get that answer. But he was more interested in just knowing what the employee's participation was, or what their, out of all their benefits of what he paid.
Because I think he was asking about the water guys, as we took over the water. He was asking about the
Right.
total package of how much it's costing us.
Well, the total package for
Because
the,
we're not paying H2O, when they were doing the readings, we're not paying their fringe benefits, correct?
no, we're not paying, we pay them a flat fee
Yeah,
between water and sewer,
I think that's what he was getting
and
at.
it's in the neighborhood of 325, 350,000 a year.
Yeah, I think he was trying to see what the difference was between them doing and us all in.
The
Okay,
border-
well,
I'm pretty sure that was the question he was asking.
if they go out and walk and do, or if he starts to replace a part, it's anywhere from $85 to $100 an
Yeah, I
hour.
think he was just talking about checking, doing the meter readings.
Okay.
22.5 a year,
Second?
H2O was charging us $22,500 a year to read the meters.
22,000.
Yes.
Okay, so, that's for Sean, if at our next meeting, we can continue the conversation, or if there's more information he needs, and we can certainly get to that point and supply it for him. Okay, there's no other public comment on agendas, so start with the announcements and discussions. So as far as an update on the Trees for Tribs, the Hudson, with the DEC, we've set a date for September, it's a Saturday, September 28th at 9:30 at Sewell Park will be the time that we'll be planting trees and shrubs and other foliage that they plan on presenting to us. We'll have a plan in advance sometime into end of July, early August, so we'll know what we're gonna get, and we'll have a planting plan so we can pre-drill the holes for, depending on what that piece of foliage is, be it a tree or a brush or flowers. So we'll get to that. So Environmental Facilities Corporation, EFC, we're all kind of familiar with that term by now, I think, with the sewer plant and the management of the money that we've been chasing. Again, it was $1,040,000 is the number that we were given. We have just finished the paperwork and been approved to receive from King's Capital to close out that portion of the contracts, and the village will be receiving $122,000 on that. We are still pursuing Olympic Electric, and that is in the neighborhood of $325,000. We're just finding it a little difficult at the moment to find the paperwork and documentation. The company went defunct, and so reaching somebody at this point has been rather difficult, but we are continuing to go down that road to try to capture that money. After we get the $122,000, we will have a recap of what we've collected to date, what's outstanding, and still that could be collectible. And based on that number, again, in trying to pursue it, if all our avenues are closed, and we're planning on having a call with the EFC, I'll say upper management people, and we are going to try to get a waiver to receive the remaining dollars that are up in EFC that would still be in our account. I came across some letters and stuff back from 2018, I believe 2019, that indicated from EFC that they, at that point, as we explained, that we have not, or they have not received any of the reporting, the quarterly reporting from the project, from the office here. And with that, EFC said, you've got this money sitting up there, and then they had indicated that at the time they were going to pursue it and send the information up, and then unfortunately that never occurred, and so EFC's been just basically spinning their wheels until we started to work with these guys, and now again we've been able to capture several hundreds of thousands of dollars, and to the benefit of us, and then that money will be used to go against the deficit spending that for the money that we borrowed. And so that will be in a separate account, and it'll sit there until such time as that we need to make a decision on that. Okay, any questions or comments from the board at all? Okay. Next is just a grant program that we were going after to get replacement, to replace all the water meters in the village, and also to procure a vacuum truck. Those particular grants are no longer offering those two particular programs, vacuum truck and or meters. So we've changed direction to a different grant that's been recommended for us, and we're pursuing that, and we'll keep you updated on that progress. Next is the Orange County Economic Development. I had a meeting this week with Orange County. Their team came down, and we were talking about economic development for the village and what the village's needs, and in the sense of business and traffic, and just trying to get a dialogue going. So at the point, there's a number of different initiatives that we're looking at because we're in the midst of the comprehensive plan, redoing our zoning. We really only have one large parcel left to really build on, per se, and, you know, we're just kind of throwing some things around as far as, you know, potential thoughts, ideas, and having the county help us from the economic development standpoint, searching out for large companies that could potentially help us. And then also some smaller type businesses that could potentially help us with the 2 banks that are now empty. We have, again, I think I mentioned, we had reached out to the banks. One bank could not reach, the other bank was reachable, and talking about, you know, potential eateries and things like that to enhance the downtown area. The other focus, which was really good, and we're gonna bring in the economic team potentially at our next meeting, is the rail trail that's being developed. The county is in the process and should be, according to these guys, closing in a couple of weeks on the rail trail. So that's basically what runs out to Cornwall, out to Newburgh, and further. And it's the big loop that's been always, I mean, most people know about it. So at the end of the day, the rail trail is going to be developed, as what I'm hearing, potentially within the next couple of years. And this trail will run through the village, and we've discussed some economic development processes and ideas for either new businesses, local businesses that are already in place, and how we could take advantage of potentially hundreds of thousands of people riding bikes coming through the village, and what we could do, you know, potentially with that. There'll be a number of rest stops in the village, so people can get off their bikes and whatever other mode of transportation they're using. And, you know, we plan on discussing this with the board and also discussing it with our downtown businesses, our chamber, to let them know what's going on. They'll be invited to that public meeting as well. That probably, if it works out, I believe is the 17th of July. And we'll take that from there. But it was pretty exciting. They've already got their right-of-ways figured out, and all of the bridges, which I believe there are 3, all of them are going to be totally redone. What structure is there steel-wise, they say, is in great shape. They're just going to redo the decking and make it walkable, safe, and it'll be a really, really neat thing. So more to come on that, and if it's if they can make it on the 17th, we'll definitely be entertaining that. Okay, our pickleball courts are,
Do you have a question about?
I'm sorry,
Did you mention there's one remaining parcel of land in the village?
yeah,
Where is that?
208 in Woodcock, the Gazette
Is that the
Farm.
farm?
Gazette.
So that hasn't sold?
No,
To the best of our knowledge.
the best of our knowledge, no.
I thought I had heard it sold, but.
No.
Yep, I mean, the last time we talked about it, I think in one of the comprehensive plans, they still have it. The family has it, so.
People aren't really, potential buyers are reluctant to move forward with that because we're in a moratorium and they know it will most likely be rezoned. So, until it's rezoned, buyers are reluctant.
Yes.
Bill Graven, Washington Boulevard. One quick question on the rail trail. Is this gonna connect to the Heritage Trail? Is that?
Yeah,
Because I saw a design
yes.
from that at one point.
Yeah,
That's
it's
connected
all gonna be
to
interconnected.
Manchester, and come
Yeah.
across down towards Mills.
Correct.
I have a question on the rail trail, John Donaldson, Fort Emerson. Is Orange County paying for this?
Yes, yes, they bought it from the Heritage Foundation, something, I might have the wrong one, but they purchased it from them, yes. Yeah. Okay. Next will be an update on the pickleball courts. As you know, we sent out a message maybe a week or so ago saying that they were available to be used. People have been calling and saying they love it, they're playing all the time. We have our rules and regs. Signs will be, if they're not out already, will be going up very shortly to be made, and then we'll connect them to the doors of the fences where you can go into the courts. So just guidelines. The biggest guidelines, I'll just say out here, is that we've had some people say, that, you know, some folks are on that court for like 2 hours. You know, I would say to those folks, if there's people waiting, you know, our guideline is 1 hour, and then you're off the court. Games are usually 20 minutes, so potentially you can get 3 games in, and then, you know, take a break and put your paddle on in line, and then wait for the next round to get inside the court. But so far, it's been really great feedback. Nothing crazy, nothing negative. We have a couple of little tweaks to be working at the courts. Some of the fencing, I want to talk to Steve, some of the wires that are holding the fence, a couple of poles loosened up, but otherwise, yeah, people are loving it, so all the best, and we'll just see how that goes. Anything from the
You're
board?
definitely using it.
Yeah,
I sent Evie pictures.
yeah. Next is the Orange County DMV. They will be out here on Wednesday the 3rd, 10 a.m. to 12 and 1 to 3:30 as usual. I think everybody has the rhythm of them coming in. They do everything except for the written examinations. And they're really working it to be looking like every month to be here, because we do have a very large turnout of people using their services on the mobile unit, so that's very good news. That's good stuff.
Just a comment, our daughter got to use it, and she was really happy and grateful.
Yeah, no, it's great versus needing to drive to something, that's for sure. Yeah, good. Next is just an update for Friday, July 5th. I think everybody is aware, and you can see us setting up for the 4th of July fireworks. That start at, I think, 5 o'clock, right? 5 o'clock? So it goes to 5 to 9:30, so there'll be food vendors, pretty much the same format as last year. The fencing is going up now. Chief is overall in charge of, obviously, the security, road closures, all that good stuff. So we will be putting out a CTY message in regards to that. We'll have a map of the overall area, so you'll know where first aid is and stuff like that. So we'll post that on our socials and on our website as well for everyone to look at. Anyone has anything on that?
There's a spirit garden.
For you spirit
Park
people.
early.
What's the weather?
Weather is
Not great
supposed to
right
be
now.
potentially some showers in the morning, but the rest of the day at this point was looking okay. And Bill says no. All right, Bill, what do we got? What's the latest?
Partly cloudy in the morning, increasing clouds with periods of showers later in the day.
All right,
We do have a rain
40%.
date.
so the rain date's the following day, so
Negative.
sounds like a typical summer day. So we'll see where that goes. Let's see, okay, so our last item on discussion is regarding our building department computer program, which is called IPS, which is part of the Edmunds software package that we've discussed. So we have, in the last couple of weeks, have been concentrating on the building department. And we have been finding a lot of discrepancies and issues with the software. So we had, and maybe I'll just turn this over to Donna, she can run into it, but I can just let you know that this system that we're currently using is not really being used efficiently. Matter of fact, most of everything in the system has not been used correctly. So at the end of the day, what we're doing is we've reached out to I'll call her a consultant. She has 25 years experience with this, using the IPS system. And, you know, just for an example, and I'll just read one of the modules. The 3 modules that she'll be working on is the permit side, complaint side, and the inspections. So just on the building permit side, currently she found that there's over 1,200 open permits dating back to 1977. Inspections are not properly noted or enough tabs created. Not able to find any energy code inspections that were done. No follow-up to expired permits. Form letters are either outdated or non-existent. Permits do not indicate the inspections are required. no final electrical inspections indicated, not enough icons or consolidations of icons, and the icons are what you're able to print, like it could be a septic permit or a roof permit or anything else. Those are all the icons that you have the ability to touch. Obviously, we're not using the module to the full extent. Form letters that are in there need to be corrected and or created. For an example, we went through something last week. I was working with the building inspector, printed out the poster, and I said, well, why doesn't the poster have the name of the person and the permit, and then why isn't that pre-printed? So we went into the system, we're looking around, and we find out that the form that was in there was either not created or potentially had an issue. So we called up the IPS programming people. We rebuilt the form in 5 minutes, and then from that point on, everybody who's printing a permit now doesn't have to write it with a pen. They can just, it prints automatically the vital information that's required. So why don't you just give a little background of how we kind of ran into BJ. Her name is Betty Jean Gettel, and she comes with load of experience, so.
Actually, she came recommended, so, as you know, we have a new part-time building inspector, but he's only able to give us 8 hours. My initial contact with her was try to see if we can get her on board to come and be building inspector, code enforcement officer for our village. She started to talk about how she would, at her expense, come into the village and run a sweep to our system and kind of decipher and see what our needs would be. Tom gave you a pretty good indication of what she found. That was about an hour of work, that's it. Everything that he just read off to you, she found in about an hour in that system. So I was calling her to see if we can bring her on board. She said she would make the determination and see what our needs are based on what she finds in the system. Do we need a full-timer? Do we need a part-timer? Where are we at? I said we were hoping to get you, and she left. So she's not available to work for us as a code enforcement officer, but she will as a consultant to come in one-time situation just to get us back to where we need to be. So to make sure that our system is compliant, that the proper codes are where they need to be, and everything else that Tom just read off to you. She and her partner, Joe Smith, besides she's a BI, code enforcement officer, he's the president, and she was, but she's on the board now of Tri-State, New York State Tri-County chapter of code enforcers.
Yeah, the state organization for building inspectors.
So she does this type of consulting work. It's what she does best, I suppose. She's currently still working just as a part-time code enforcement officer up in Sullivan. And she believes to get through everything that Tom rattled off to you earlier would be about 4 to 6 months, depending on what else may pop up. She's bills at $40 an hour. Right now, it looked like a total of about $5,800, 58 to 60 or 6,000.
Depends on what she runs into.
Exactly,
We have a not to exceed number,
right.
and then if there's anything going over, we'll have that conversation.
For each category that Tom said, there were 3 main categories. She gave the amount of hours that she believed it would take to clean up that area. Most of them average about 30 to 40 hours. So about 120 hours initially, but we're prioritizing and what she's gonna do first and how long it takes and what else she might find, so. Vinnie, you have your hand up?
Are you laying that quick, Ron? Why don't you just hire a new code enforcement?
Well, we're looking for that as well. But in the
on top
meantime,
of paying her the consultant.
she is just a one and done deal. She's just to get our system to where it needs to be. That's not doing the daily grind of what BI and code enforcement officers have to do on a daily
Is that the
basis.
reason why the building inspector was let go?
Well, first of all, we didn't say he's let go.
On leave indefinitely?
I would again note that there are employment actions, and if those employment actions reach a certain point,
Is
there's
he on leave, yes or
there's
no?
necessarily a public hearing regarding the
Is he on
action.
leave, yes or no?
There is a employment action going on, and if those reach a point,
Is he
there's a
getting
public
paid-
hearing.
Is he getting paid while he's on leave?
As of
I think the
now,
residents have right. to
as,
know.
correct,
The
as
building
of,
inspector
as of
paid.
now, no, he's not. It's unpaid.
And this position, again, has nothing to do with the building department inspection or inspection.
Well, he's a building inspector, code enforcement officer.
She
Right,
is.
but the issue, her main focus and only focus is to build the system, because she has the experience. Other people that come in here might have worked on other systems. There is no way that anybody would be able to build this system with having almost no knowledge. Even if someone was a casual user, probably couldn't build the system the way it needs to be built. And we need it done right, and we need it done, one time. We don't wanna go back to the well with this, that, oh, we did this module, now we're gonna wait. It would be a waste of time, because at that point, we'd be better off just typing on an Electrolux typewriter and going with it, because garbage in is garbage out, and we've got a lot of garbage, so.
Is that the main reason, the list that you gave at the start of this, is the reason why there's disciplinary actions against said employee on leave?
Vin, we can't talk about it, okay? I mean, you understand that,
I
all
could
right?
ask.
I know, but you could ask, but you're tricky, but I'm not gonna say it.
Look, let's put it this way. For the two main,
I'm concerned because right now, we have a guy that's working 8 hours, that's it. And there's
Right.
a lot of stuff going on in the village that nobody's enforcing.
Right.
That's the
And
main,
We
need
will,
to-
we
need to
will
hire
be
someone.
looking for another building inspector, code enforcement officer,
Yeah, that's in process.
whether it be part-time or full-time.
And
We
we
need
are,
another-
and we also are leaning on our engineer to assist in building permits if something becomes required. And we are discussing.
Once said process is over, will we find out the reason why?
assuming that the disciplinary process reaches a certain stage.
I'm just saying. 'cause
I shouldn't say the disciplinary
there's
process.
Police chiefs that we let go in the past, that
Right,
we never
but
heard
this
what
is in the
happened.
Vinny,
process.
give-
It's all a
Vinny,
mystery, you know?
Vinny, so there are employment actions. Once they reach a certain point, the employee either comes back or there is, by New York statute, necessarily a public hearing where the board will make a determination. So if he comes back, he comes back. If he doesn't come back, that's a public hearing. Open meeting law applies, everything will be out. But,
Correct me if I'm wrong, it is a civil service.
correct, it is civil service, yeah.
Competitive.
So there are certain procedures that we have to follow for certain employment actions, and we are following them. But at some point, they reach a stage where there will be a public hearing regarding whatever consequences come about.
Okay.
Thanks, man.
Well,
Paul?
Paul on 10 Patriot Lane. So, Tom, you said that the IPS, you use the IPS program, right? You said that the program wasn't being used correctly. Now, what is, again, go back, what is this woman doing? It says regarding building department computer program proposal. Is she bringing in a new program? Because you said that the program wasn't
No,
being
she's
used.
gonna use the existing system that we have, the existing software. She is going to go in, and what I had read to you is just one module of everything that needs to be done. So there's forms that are not set up correctly. There are automatic reporting in the system that isn't working correctly. Complaint module, there's over 500 open complaints. Some of this is the human factor as well, okay? If they were entered in, but some of the stuff is just not completed. So you have over 500 open complaints that go back to 2005. There's no village New York State code book or any pertinent code entered in order to violate properties with. The only code that is semi-active is something from 2007, and even that's not current. Without a code book to reference in violations, there's no violations to be written. There were no follow-ups, visits to the complaints. So either some of this stuff is educational, that we thought these people maybe knew what they were doing with this application and said they knew the IPS system, but this all kind of filtered out. And another example, there's no 10 or 30-day order to remedy form letters. Form letters are in need for corrective action and to be created. Municipal search letters is need of correcting. Does not indicate everything that is looked for in a title search for the company. It's scattered, it's all over the place. So her job is to basically go into these modules, starting with the most important stuff is the code book, getting that in there. That's priority number one. And then after that, we need to start going after the icons and creating the correct reports and getting the base system fixed. Once the base system is fixed, then she will be training the building inspectors so they know how to use this software correctly. Because if you're only using an eighth of it and you're not putting in the details, that's the killer. That's the biggest problem.
Have we been using that IPS since 2005?
It used to be called BAS. I'm not even sure when that came, to be honest with you. And then BAS was bought by the Edmund Software Company, and they call it IPS.
So we're talking about a lot of building inspectors.
I know.
I mean, a lot of,
There's probably 5 or 6, I don't know. But can't look, could look
I know.
backwards, but it doesn't do any good at this point. We need to look forward to make sure whoever walks in this door, whoever our building department people are now and in the future, know exactly how to make this thing work. And it can do 1,000 different things that we're not even touching to make the job of the inspector and the admin people, and for us, when we want to run reports, there will be inquiries into the system and pull the data we need to see. So it's rebuilding the software is really what we're doing.
That 1203 is her first priority,
Right.
getting those codes. That alone is gonna be about 40, at least 40 hours, I think, up to maybe 60. So once that's in place, and this also comes with her training, the clerk for the building department.
Right. Yep.
So is she, Bill Graber, question over. So is she essentially gonna first focus on the configuration of the application and how it's being, how it should be used versus what it's been?
Correct,
set up to
because
do,
when,
and then addressing whatever data issues are available. Obviously, I don't know about data issues from 2005, but there's gotta be some cutoff point.
I would call the data incomplete, right? You're filling out something and you don't fill out the complaint portion of it. Or it's a complaint and you put the complaint in, but it's not detailed enough. And then that's where it died. There's no follow-up. So I could have talked to you 1,000 times, but if I don't go back into the system and put the notes in there, it's dead. So this is the training that needs to happen with the people once the modules are set up. And we can do it by building permit module first, then the complaint module, and then there's an inspection module. All of that just needs to be rebuilt and then retrained.
Yeah, I mean, my experience, any ERP requires a ton of configuration up front before it's usable.
Right.
And if you can make some fatal mistakes doing that. I don't know if that's been done, if that has occurred, but then coming back, there's a lot of things that you have to, draw a line in the sand.
Right.
What you can fix, what you can't fix. But
Yeah.
if she has experience to do it, and then.
Yeah, she is.
And train the potential users.
Yeah. She has 25 years using this IPS system when it was BAS. When she calls them up, it's like she's an employee of those people. It's that cohesiveness is just, and and I want to say for the price, a regular consultant out of IPS is about $1.50 an hour. So, you know, we're trying to do our due diligence, and she's very impressive, very impressive. So, we hope to, you know, start this, get through it, and, get everybody trained, and take it from there.
Do we have any similar issues with the general ledger as far as?
No, that's all brand new.
all-
That's the Edmunds system.
That was
I mean, we're
all-
still dealing with the accounting side of things,
Isn't that
yeah, because we had
purpose?
QuickBooks, but nothing was really entered into QuickBooks, right?
So I mean, as far as the
the-
configuration, you're satisfied with the configuration that it's been set up? The Edmunds?
Of Edmunds?
Yeah, the accounting.
Oh, the accounting, because it was done by accountants, and the accountant or treasurer has used that system elsewhere. So, yeah, she knows it inside and out as well. So it's good. Vinny?
Can we not post a position until said proceedings are over?
The only thing, well, we're looking for part-time. We're also discussing, which we've had in
Would
the past.
part-time still fall under civil service or no?
I'm sorry?
Would that still fall under?
Non-competitive.
Non-competitive, right. And we're also having, I'm talking to the board later in executive, is, you know, potential agreement with the town on a temporary basis, so we can figure this, you know, figure this out. So we have 5 days coverage, we can go into contract with the town. Once everything is washed out, we know what direction we need to go in. If we need to go in higher, then we go in that direction. And if we don't, then we can maintain and stick with the town and just have a clause to, they can leave us or we can leave them with X amount of days of notice. An easy exit, but, you know, we're looking for the 5 days. And we're entertaining more staff support internally so that they can do most of the mundane paperwork and setting up appointments and doing municipal searches, so that doesn't have to be on the back of the building inspector. We want them out and doing the inspections. That's their main focus at the end of the day. And the biggest thing that needs to be done, that has not been done, is fire and safety inspections. That's a priority. Because in '23, there was a very small number of inspections that were done. 37 out of 200-ish. So we just scratched the surface and nothing was really done. We found that out by digging through the system as well. And so there's a lot of work to do. We're just talking to everybody and letting you know what we're doing, and we'll be moving forward. Michael?
Mike Graziano, 3 Mark Street. Tom, I'm just curious, does the town use the IPS system as well?
Yes,
They do.
yes. So as far as them being able to use the system, it's transparent.
Good.
And we just give them access to the box and they're good to go. Yep.
So if we're so bad, I wonder how they are.
You know what, this girl is that good that I think
No.
everybody every so often should get audited by her.
What I'm saying, I
And-
wonder
No, I'm
what, I
serious.
wonder what condition the town is in.
That's what I'm saying.
Look,
You
she
don't know.
doesn't just step into municipalities, you know, we contacted her.
I know, I understand, but I'm just saying, for conversation,
Yeah.
you know, if they're using the same system and ours has been that bad.
Well, the only good thing about it, I'll say for the town at this point, is that their building inspector and office staff has been there for a lot of years. So turnover-wise, that's a good thing. Their education and their usage of the IPS system, and knowledge base-wise, that's just a question. That would be a question, you know. How much do they use the system? You know, do they use all the functions? They might not know all of the functions. You go through upgrades and, you know, something was here, now it's better, it's up here. But this, BJ's telling us, they came out with a new version 5.0. She's saying, stay where you are because there's bugs in it. You can't make that up, and you can't, in a sense, buy that, right? It's knowledge, it's a user of the system. knows-
Never use the new version.
Right, and actually, her municipality, because of what she does, is the guinea pig for that new version. And,
So I just look, Jeannie's the building inspector in the town, isn't she?
She's,
correct,
Wasn't she here at one time?
yes,
yes,
Okay.
yes,
she lives in the village as well.
Okay.
Yeah, we just wanna, we touched base with those guys last year. They were having staffing issues. So they just brought on another part-timer. So now they're able to entertain,
What I'm getting at is, she was here at one time as our building inspector, because we had that municipal agreement with the town of Blue Ridge at the time, right?
correct?
Correct.
So obviously, she didn't use did she use our program?
Yeah, oh, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
We're not necessarily saying it's Jeannie.
I'm just saying, was it used correctly when she was here? I'm just saying, he just said we might make a municipal agreement with the town. She was here at one time. That's one of the building inspectors in the past that have been in this building, and obviously it wasn't used correctly during those years.
The advantages,
Maybe we
Vinnie,
need to look at another municipality.
the advantage is that the office support staff for the building department is gonna be trained on this software as well. So if somebody comes in and is not using it to the extent that they're gonna be trained to do it, it'll be brought to our attention, rather than, we don't really know the software, we don't understand.
I get that, but in the meantime, we were gonna go outside to the town for help while we get this all sorted out. Right?
That would be,
You don't have
that,
no-
but Vinnie, that could be with any municipality.
Say again?
And that could be with any municipality, and a lot of municipalities don't use the IPS. So to our advantage that they at least know the software, I mean, next time I bump into Jeannie, I'm gonna say, and they know each other, so, you know, Jeannie knows the part-timer guy that we have now, she
I'm sure
knows,
it's a tight network. I'm just
she
saying
knows
was
BJ,
here,
so,
It wasn't
my
used correctly.
suggestion is-
Was it used correctly when she was here? Is my question. That's what I'm getting at.
don't know.
Don't know.
And
Don't know.
we did reach out to other municipalities for IMAs. There's a shortage.
I'm sure there is, like everywhere else.
I reached out to 3 different ones personally, Vinnie, to see if they would be
Same.
interested in doing an IM.
Yeah.
I got shut down. There's also training going on right now to become a building inspector, so there is a fresh group that'll be coming out in a couple of months.
One of them's sitting right here.
Did you pass your last module? Okay. So, okay, thank you guys very much. All right, we'll move on to our resolutions. Resolution 24-0084, resolution to authorize the adoption of introductory local law number 6, amending Chapter 113, Architectural Review Board of the Village of Washingtonville, transferring duties to the village board. Can I have a motion, please?
I'll make that motion.
Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Any questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0, thank you. Next, 24-0085, resolution to rebid the advertisement for the bids regarding the wastewater treatment plant operations building roof replacement. Bid opening date will be Thursday, July 25th at 2 p.m. Have a motion, please.
Motion. Second.
Second. All in, questions, comments?
We're reopening this. I actually have a question. We use Bacon Davis, right?
I'm sorry,
Bacon Davis,
who's that?
Chris. It's, when somebody puts in a bid. Are you aware, Chris?
I
No?
don't understand the question.
I'm asking.
Are you saying it's
So-
like a clearinghouse? Or
Yes.
they receive, no. The drawings are prepared by the architect, everything is packaged, and then we put out the bids. There's a database, maybe that's what you were talking about, that this stuff gets entered into. And then people that are looking for roofing work or paving work or whatever, they go into the database and they see all these jobs, and then they can bid on it by then calling Christine, coming down and picking up the drawings and the specs, and then they, Chris, I'm sorry. And I don't know if that's what you're talking about. I'm not familiar with that name.
I'm not familiar with, Bacon Davis?
Bacon Davis?
Yeah.
I'm not, no.
Okay?
Only because, you know, I work for
Yeah, I
a
don't know.
company, and the reason they wouldn't put the bid in is because I think I've had this dialogue with the other Chris.
Okay.
And I thought he told
Do you mean Davis-Bacon?
Davis-Bacon.
Is this a federally funded contract? Federally assisted contract? Davis-Bacon doesn't apply then.
See, but I'm pretty sure you told me that it did, and that's why we weren't able to put a bid in.
Davis-Bacon is a federal law, and unless there's some federal component to this bid, I don't see why Davis-Bacon would apply.
Okay. Okay. Any other conversation? If not, all in favor? Motion passes 5-0. 24-0086 to recognize the upcoming training program on wetland policy changes and award credit to the planning board and zoning board members. Have a motion, please.
Motion.
Second? Questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Resolution 24-0087, resolution to authorize the facility use request form for the Hudson Valley Hawks travel baseball, softball practice games at Woodfield Park to be held on July 15th through September 1st, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. A motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Thank you. 24-0088, resolution to authorize a facility use request form for the Kiwanis of Washingtonville Pumpkin and Mum Sale at Veterans Memorial Park to be held on Sunday, September 15th, from 6 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Said resolution is based upon submittal of a certificate of insurance. Have a motion?
Motion.
Second? Questions, comments? All in favor? Motion passes 5-0. 24-0089, resolution to authorize the proposal for Betty Jean Gettle to make recommendations in updating the building department permit module, complaint module, and inspection module at a cost of $40 per hour, not to exceed $4,200. Have a motion, please?
Motion.
Have a second? Questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. And 24-0090, resolution to authorize the mayor to sign Millennium Strategy LLC renewal proposal for Flex Grant Consulting at a cost not to exceed $5,000. Have a motion?
Motion.
Have a second?
Second.
Questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Thank you very much. Next, 24-0091, resolution to authorize the budget transfers and amendments as necessary to effect necessary transfers of funds and to pay warrants. Have a motion? Second?
Second.
Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Also, the abstract is on the dais. If everybody could please sign that. Thank you. Next is public comment. Vinnie?
Vinnie Lang, 9 Rock Court. Can we get a well status? How we're doing with our wells?
The well has been holding at 29 feet and 4 inches, 5 inches, but it's been holding at 29
What was
feet.
it, 24?
I'm sorry?
What was it, 24, 29 is when we had.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. It's 24. 24. You're right. You're right.
29 is when.
Yeah,
we-
it's 24.
Oh,
Today I think it was
restrictions.
24, 9 inches, but it's been 24, 4, 25, 5. So they've been holding very well, actually.
Are we, is that like pre-water restriction stage? When is that?
When you're about 30 feet,
That's water restriction?
yeah.
School test.
Sorry?
It's inverse.
It's not deep either.
Oh,
Pickleball courts have been great, a lot of activity, but I can't help to notice, and I brought it up after the carnival left, where the generator was sitting.
Yeah, me
Must
too,
have
I
dropped
saw
a
that.
lot. He dumped a lot of keys over there. Should we reach out to the Knights and have them throw some dirt on there? Because
Yeah.
you're not gonna grow any seed there right now.
I thought when I passed that the last time after you had said it, it was, I found it obviously pretty easily. And then when I went by over the weekend and again today, yeah, it looks like it's not doing, I think they'll probably have to dig some dirt out of there, to be honest with you.
Definitely a lot of diesel ones.
And so, yeah, I'm gonna reach out to the Knights and ask them to come back and repair that, put some fresh seed if that works, and some fresh topsoil. And then next year, they'll be required to put some kind of pan
Yeah,
system underneath any motor, to make sure nothing happens like that again. So, yeah, thank you. Anything else, any other questions? Michael?
Mike, Chris, down 3 March Street. Tom, is there a place that you can find local laws on our village? Is that posted anywhere?
I'm sorry, what is it?
Local laws?
E-code.
It's E-code, so if you go to Google and type in E-codes or E-code 360,
Why can't you get it on the website, our website?
Because
Yeah,
first
link
of
it.
all, they used to be linked, but they're being revised right now, and there's actually, I have a banner across there saying, no pun intended, but under construction.
Should at least link it so that people can see it. So,
you know what you should do
we
is
do
tell
have
them
codes
they
on the
can
books,
get
you know,
to
they're
it
being
by
revamped, you know?
just typing it in on Google or DuckDuckGo, and all you gotta do is just type in E-codes 360, put Washingtonville, and it'll pop up, you'll see the hyperlink, and then you click on it, and then you can browse it all day long, all night long,
There's that.
all day again.
There is,
And then
Yeah,
another night.
300 and some
Yeah,
pages,
it's loaded. And then there's a search bar, so if you're looking for something specific, you can just type that in.
I am looking for something specific. Thank you.
Gee, I had a feeling, Michael. That's why I told you. So it's a search bar, you can just go in there and, yeah, if you have any questions on it, let me know.
Thank you.
Mike, if you wanna stop by when I'm here, give a call, make sure I'm here, or I'll help you look it up.
Okay.
Same.
Okay. Anybody else? All right. That being said, we have a reason for executive session personnel. No decisions will be made when we come back. So with that, can I have a motion to adjourn into executive session?
Motion?
Second?
Second.
Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much for coming this evening. Have a lovely rest of the week.
Have a safe 4th of July.
Yeah, have a safe 4th of July. Have Vinnie's mozzarella. Thanks, Pat.
Vinny, you should get in contact with Jason.
Yeah, I should,
They could use some mozzarella.
I'm sure they could.
Chris, can you do the camera?
Yep.